Hey guys, welcome to today's session. I am aware that my internet is playing up at the moment, and I think the stream might be lagging. So if somebody, whichever platform that you're watching this on, if somebody can confirm that you can either see my screen, see me, or hear me, that would be absolutely fantastic. That's why I'm a couple of minutes late to the stream. For some reason, the presentation isn't loading. As you can see, when we go through the session today, there might be some slides that I'll just have to walk you through. Where images aren't loading for some reason, which is super frustrating. But I live on a relatively new development that they're still doing work, and over the past few weeks, they've damaged a lot of the internet lines that run through the site, and therefore has disrupted my internet. So I apologize for that, and hopefully it won't disrupt us much more throughout the session. But I just want to say welcome to the session anyway. If you are here, today's session is relatively relaxed. We take kind of a 30,000 view into DarwinX Zero as a company, who we are and what we offer to our traders. My name is Kieran and I'm head of UK growth and business development at Darwinex and Darwinex Zero. And the first slide, it's not a great start because it's not loading the image. However, it is just, you're not missing much. It is usually just an image of me here, you know, with my job title anyway. So don't worry too much about that. If you've not heard of Darwinex before, we are an FCA regulated broker and asset manager, and we also have just launched our hedge fund, which is called the INDX. We're regulated by the FCA in the UK, by the CNMB in Spain, and also by the FSA in the Seychelles. We currently have over 100 million US dollars invested in the platform by third-party investors, and we also have over 10,000 active strategies on the platform. Our job as a company is to help traders scale by attracting third-party capital and help investors scale their wealth by giving them access to risk-adjusted, high-quality traders. Now, Darwinex Zero is the only place where you can become a professional asset manager with zero risk. And you might wonder what we mean by zero risk. And really what we're saying is Darwinex, as a broker, you have to deposit capital, you have to trade with that capital, and of course, put your own money at stake. Darwinex Zero operates in a little bit of a different way. You have all of the same infrastructure, you have all of the same growth models. However, we run it on virtual capital. It's on live servers, but on virtual capital. Now, because of this, there's zero risk to your own capital. All you have to do is pay a monthly subscription starting at 38 euros per month, and therefore you can trade with zero risk, but still have the upside of attracting external investor capital. We allow you to develop as a trader using our advanced strategy, insights, and metrics that you get as a trader with Darwinex. This is quite often overlooked as one of the values that you get as a Darwinex Zero trader, but we do have an extensive list of institutional grade metrics that you can use to help better your trading strategy. And we actually do weekly sessions on a Wednesday at 4 p.m. UK time, where I run an hourly session reviewing somebody's Darwin live, and we go over all of these metrics, and I give you guys real feedback, real insights into potential changes that you can make to your trading strategy based on your data. And last but not least, we have a fantastic community of like-minded traders. What we tend to find is that the traders who buy into our vision really buy into the vision and can see the long-term game that we offer at Darwinex Zero, as opposed to the quick riches that might be promoted by other companies or mentors or whoever it may be. Now, I mentioned becoming a professional asset manager, so let's break that down slightly. So we start with, well, we have a roadmap to becoming a professional asset manager, and it goes step by step. So we start with the calibration phase. Now, not to get too much into the complexities of what we call the risk engine or value at risk, I usually reserve those topics for our Thursday session. But what we have at Darwinex is a proprietary risk engine that monitors all of our traders' risk exposure and all of our traders' activity, and keeps the traders consistent from an exposure perspective. So it measures your exposure as a trader, values it against the S&P 500's benchmark over 6.5% value at risk, and will maintain that throughout your journey at Darwinex Zero. Calibration phase is simply a period of time where our risk engine learns and understands your behavior. It's not a pass or fail assessment. There is no such thing as failing or passing at DarwinX Zero. It's simply a period of time where our risk engine studies your behavior and understands what level they need to risk adjust your trades. Once your Darwin comes out of the calibration phase, you then get eligible for permanent allocations. A permanent allocation is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a €100,000 permanent allocation that stays on your account indefinitely. What we mean by that is if you go through a drawdown period, you won't lose it. If you take X amount of months / years to get a payout, you won't lose it. There's no restrictions. It's just yours to keep. It's completely optional. However, a lot of our traders choose to have this because they know there's no pressure that comes with that. You're also entered into the first tier of our DarwinIA program, which is a 2-tier leaderboard across our platform. DarwinIA Silver runs slightly differently to Gold, but it's where the majority of our traders are. I think there's about 9,000 traders, maybe just short of 9,000 in DarwinIA Silver. DarwinIA Silver is ran as a monthly competition. You receive a rating based on 3 different metrics. So based on your current month's return, your previous 5 months return, and your previous 6 months drawdown. So what we're doing is taking a look at your most recent 6 months of performance and grading you on that. If you have a score of over 75 based on these metrics, then you will receive an allocation on that given month. So you trade for the whole month. At the end of the month, we close down that month's DarwinIA program and then provide all of our traders with allocations. On average, out of those 8,600 or 8,700 traders that are in DarwinIA Silver, we're roughly giving 1,300 to 1,500 traders per month allocations, which start from €30,000 and go all the way up to €375,000. They last for 3 months and you earn performance fees on those, and they are cumulative, which means that if you score 75 or above 3 months in a row, then you will stack the 3 months worth of allocations on top of each other. After the first set of 3 months, the first allocation will drop off, but then if you earn another allocation in your 4th month, that will then get added back on. Once you've hit a few performance milestones, which is an 8-month-long track record, a minimum return of 20%, and a minimum return to drawdown ratio of 2.5, meaning at 20% return you would need no more than an 8% drawdown, you can then be promoted to DarwinIA Gold. This is where things get a little bit more exciting for you as a trader because the allocations get bigger and they last for longer. So instead of lasting for 3 months, they now last for 6 months. Instead of starting at 30k, they start at 50, and instead of going up to 375, they actually go up to €500,000 in DarwinIA Gold. Now, your place on the leaderboard is slightly different in DarwinIA Gold. However, it's much more simple. There's no calculation between the return and drawdown. It's simply who generates the biggest return per month on DarwinIA Gold gets the biggest allocation. So, for example, if you're number 1 out of the 300 or so Darwins that are in Gold, if you're number 1 from a return perspective this month, you will categorically get the biggest allocation in that given month. It doesn't stop there. When you get to DarwinIA Gold, you also become open to investors, which is kind of our prop desk, if you will. So we have an investor marketplace at Darwinex, which again goes through our FCA regulated asset management license. The investors can buy into your Darwin. Again, through Zero, you have to be in DarwinIA Gold to be open to the investors. They can allocate capital to you when they want, when they see fit, and then you will again trade this on top of your DarwinIA allocations and permanent allocations. The great thing with this recently is we've seen some fantastic talent come through DarwinX Zero over the course of the past year or so, and we're starting to see some Zero Darwins really pick up the pace. We had our first DarwinX Zero Darwin hit $1 million in investor capital a couple of weeks ago, which is WISI or WISI. We have TXRT, who is about $800,000, and we have some upcoming ones like TVTA, which is just absolutely skyrocketing too. So it's really interesting to see the level of talent coming through the Zero acquisition program and now how the investors are recognizing those. And last but not least, we have the Darwinex fund, which is the index. Now, this is our in-house hedge fund where we're looking to raise capital from third-party sources, which goes into our portfolio of Darwins. Now, what I mean by that is we take the top 100 to 150 traders on the platform and we combine them all into a master strategy, if you will. That strategy is already diversified. It's managed by Darwinex Labs, our in-house quant team. And like I say, it manages different assets, different timeframes, different trading styles, all of the above. Therefore, giving an investor a market neutral return with minimal drawdown. Now, this is live now to professional investors either through an investment certificate or through the Darwinex marketplace. The great thing about the index is it benefits all parties. It benefits an investor because we're reducing the amount of decisions that an investor has to make when investing on the platform. It benefits Darwinex because obviously we're providing a better and greater service to our traders and our investors. And it benefits the trader because we're bringing more capital to the table, and it's easier for us to raise capital for this as opposed to raising it for individual investors. Now, there's a couple of slides here which is just going to recap what I've just been going over during the roadmap. Slide, but we have the calibration phase, which is where you begin your journey. It takes roughly 3 weeks to come out of the calibration phase, but it's not a pass or fail assessment. So even if it takes you slightly longer than 3 weeks, it doesn't mean you failed anything, or it doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. Once you come out of the calibration, your Darwin is therefore then open for DarwinIA allocations in the silver program, and also for permanent allocations as well. Again, DarwinIA Silver and Gold is 2 different tiers of the same leaderboard or the same program. It's run as a monthly competition, and it's in addition to permanent allocations. Just to recap the rating-based leaderboard in DarwinIA Silver, it covers or measures your current month's return, your previous 5 months return, and your previous 6 months drawdown, giving you a 6-month snapshot of your performance. The permanent allocations, it is an additional or optional add-on. You can choose an option which is active instantly, which means as soon as you've activated it, the 100,000 euros will be there and will be on your Darwin. Or you can choose a growth target, which I will cover in just a moment. And once it's activated, it's allocated permanently, indefinitely for life, which means as long as you're making high watermark highs over time, you will continue to earn performance fees. Now you can see the different pricing for the different plans on the permanent allocations on the screen. So as I mentioned, for an instant allocation, which is the 0% option, you can see it's the most expensive option. That is because you get access to that capital right straight away. If you choose the 5, 10, 15 or 20% models, that essentially is a growth target and means you have to make 5, 10, 15 or 20% at risk-adjusted Darwin level before the 100,000 euros is activated on your account. And you can see it gets cheaper as the higher the growth target is. This is for traders who, well, it's for every trader really, but it's for the traders who see the long-term vision and are committing to building their record over the next year to 5 years rather than still testing things out. Once you've activated a permanent allocation, you have a responsibility, right? You have a responsibility to yourself and to your investment as yourself in a trader to continue to try and grow that allocation. What's interesting is not a lot of people know this, but we do allow traders to transition to a live account at Darwinex at any time. It's completely down to the choice of the trader. We don't put any pressure on anybody, obviously. But the key message here is that the progression and the end goal remains the same, dependent on whether you're trading through Darwinex Zero or trading through Darwinex. The only difference is how you pay for the service. So of course, Zero is a monthly subscription starting at 38 euros per month, whereas at Darwinex, it's completely free to use because you will be paying broker commissions as you will at any broker. Okay, so we don't charge any subscription fee or any pricing plans for trading through Darwinex. The only thing that's unavailable at Darwinex right now is permanent allocations. However, I believe we're trying to bring that in the near future so that it is a like-for-like service. However, if you already have a permanent allocation and you're trading on Darwinex Zero, if you migrate to Darwinex, that permanent allocation will go with you and it won't be lost. What we do is we take a snapshot of your track record and we migrate that across to the Darwinex platform. Then when we link that track record to your new account, we play around with the leverage on the risk engine side of things so that the track record doesn't have kind of a bumpy period on that transition. We try and make it as smooth as possible, and it usually takes a day or two to complete. So the best time for us to do that is over the weekend, and then you can continue to trade as normal. If this is something that interests you, please just reach out to our support team at info@darwinxzero.com, and they will be able to begin the facilitation of that move from Zero to Darwinex. One of my favorite things about Darwinex and about Darwinex Zero is just the sheer amount of information that you can get as a trader to improve your strategy. So some of the things that we have is we analyze your return to risk. So we give you all your institutional grade metrics, such as your Sharpe, your Sortino, your kurtosis, your skew, all of these sorts of things. We break down your assets, the timeframes and stuff that you trade, and we also provide an in-depth comprehensive view into your strategy from like an excursion perspective and a duration perspective. I love running the sessions on a Wednesday where I go over all of these metrics and kind of explain what each one of them are. And I try and do it as a live example with somebody who's in the session at the time. So if you're interested in having your Darwin analyzed, please join the session tomorrow at 4 p.m. UK time, and I will go over your Darwin if you want me to. If you can't make these sessions, then they are all uploaded onto YouTube or X for you to view at a later date. So please don't stress. You can also message me beforehand. And if you say you can't make the session, but you'd like me to take a look at your Darwin, I'm happy to do that. Like I say, it will be recorded and uploaded so that you can watch it back at a later date. Now, this is an interesting one because I don't usually go into the value at risk and the risk engine too much in this session, but I think it's important to kind of cover the basics. So as I mentioned, we have the proprietary risk engine, which essentially replaces the need for a risk manager because we're providing capital to traders globally. Okay, it's not like we're a prop desk and have everything in-house in one office and all of our traders come and we can watch what they're doing at any given time. That's a kind of situation where you would have a risk manager who are worth their weight in gold, believe me. However, we have people trading from an office, we have people trading from their phones, we have people trading from their own desks at home. There's no limit to or there's no common structure to how somebody would trade at Darwinex Zero, and therefore we have to build that. And what that is the risk engine, which standardizes the risk for every single trader on our platform, meaning that regardless of what you trade, how you trade, when you trade, everybody is starting at the same level of exposure. What that means for an investor is that they see apples for apples. They can compare trader A, B, and see who generates the better return whilst using the same amount of exposure. So think of it as you've got a certain amount of chips to bet with. Who can make the most return with that limited amount of chips, basically? Now, the interesting thing about this is when people first hear this, they think, I'm being limited or I'm being scaled down. It's not that at all. It's a mathematical equation based on the exposure that you take compared to the benchmark that we allow our traders to run at, which is 6.5%. Now, when you have a Darwin, you will have access to this this metric or this on the Signal account risk management chart on your dashboard, which shows you your value at risk at Signal account level. So on your MetaTrader. Now you can see at the beginning of this chart, this account was operating above a 6.5% value at risk, which would mean our risk engine was scaling this trader down. So it would be bringing their exposure down and therefore lowering their return, but also lowering their drawdowns. As the trader gets to a 6.5% value at risk, you can see the red line as it's crossing below. The trader's probably going to be getting a 1-for-1 likeness, which means if they make a 10% return at Signal account level, it's highly likely that their return will also be 10% at Darwin. As they keep going lower, as it comes below 6.5% on the chart, and you can see the arrows flip direction, the risk engine will actually scale that trader up. So as they get to 3.25, they'll be scaled up 2x, meaning if they take a 1-lot trade on their MetaTrader, their Darwin will be trading 2 lots. I have this a lot with the expert advisor portfolios that I trade with. So I trade multiple strategies. On one account, I have 20 strategies running simultaneously, all at low risk, but that account gets scaled up. So if I make 2% Signal account or on my MetaTrader, my Darwin would make 8%. If I make a 1% loss, my Darwin would make a 4% loss, and so on and so forth. So it works both ways. but it's not biased to any trader, any strategy, any time frame. Last but not least, we have a great trading community who are extremely supportive, especially for newer traders who want to learn about Darwinex and want to understand what we do. The majority of our community is housed in Discord. We have a Discord with over 10,500 members in, which is split by English members, Spanish members, French members, and Italian members, because we have a business development representative for each of those languages who monitors each of the chats. So if you speak any of those languages, or if you speak English as your second language, feel free to jump in the Discord and come and interact with the guys in there. Like I say, there's some fantastic people in there. I've met some really, really good friends in the server, and everyone is there to just benefit each other. There's no negativity. Everyone's there with the same vision and the same goal to scale their trading. We also have a partner program. We're always looking to partner with good individuals with good morals, good ethics, and who stand by or align with our values as a company. So if you have a trading community, or you have a YouTube channel, or whatever it may be, and you want to partner with Darwinex Zero, please feel free to reach out. You can either reach out via social media or reach out to me personally on Discord or via email. On Discord, my name is Kieran Darwinex. I have an orange tick, so make sure you're not messaging a scammer account. Make sure it's the legitimate version of myself. Or you can email me at kieran.duff@darwinxzero.com. And lastly, we also have a member get member scheme where we reward you with 3 months subscription for bringing your friends and family to Darwinex Zero. There is a few days left on our member get member boost scheme, where we're allowed to earn up to €100 per client that you bring to Darwinex Zero. So check that out. It's running to the end of July, so you haven't got long, but it allows you to essentially earn more instead of just getting a 3-month subscription to Darwinex Zero. The payment will be made in credit, so you can put that towards something like a permanent allocation or to your subscription. And lastly, I just want to say that we currently have a discount code DWX10, which is valid for 1 month, 1 year, and 3-year subscriptions, which allows you to, if you want to get multiple accounts and run different strategies on. That's always a question that I get asked, is can I run multiple strategies? Indeed, you can. However, you will just need a different email for each account. But feel free to use the code DarwinX10, or even use the get member code on yourself, because you'll probably even make more from that code until the end of July. So little growth hack for you there. And lastly, I just want to ask if there's any questions. I don't think there's too many people in this session, so I'm not expecting many questions. But if you have anything, please I'll give you a moment now before we call it a day. I'll also check Instagram, because Instagram comments for some reason don't feed through to StreamYard. So we had a question on Discord. How much is the biggest capital someone has on Darwinex? So on Darwinex, the peak somebody had was $38 million. That trader now has $21 million because the capital's been diluted and is spread amongst more Darwins. On Darwinex Zero, the most somebody has is just over $1 million. And like I say, we're seeing a bigger push on Zero Darwins right now, where they're scaling a lot faster than Darwins on Classic. Paladin asked, any idea when the multiple stacked permanent allocations will be implemented? I don't have an exact ETA, but it's coming very, very, very soon. I would like to say in August, at the beginning of August. But as with any release, the time when the most issues occur is right before launch. As you start to implement it, things can occur, and we make slight adjustments. But we're targeting the beginning of August, so stay tuned with that. Back to my point, we have made some interesting changes today. So we've added a new time frame for the boosters. So the boosters are going to be 3 months, 6 months, and now 12 months as well, meaning that they will last for those periods of time. So it's basically like purchasing a DarwinIA allocation. Vincenzo said, VLH, it would be great to get your advice on it next time. Okay, VLH, let me take a note of that. And if you're around tomorrow at 4 p.m. UK time, that is, I would recommend joining that session, and we can take a deep dive into it. If not, I'll see if I can either do a personalized video for you, or I'll do it tomorrow and you can watch a recording. Plan said, great, thanks. Thank you for your questions, guys. I appreciate. I always say this, right? I always say, if it wasn't for you guys coming and watching these sessions and you know, asking me questions, I'd just be some sad guy sat here talking to a camera. So I really, really appreciate it. We'll try. Thanks. Awesome. Great to hear. Well, guys, we'll call it an end to the session there. So I hope today has been valuable for you. I've also tried to slow my speech down. I don't know if anybody has noticed. I tend to talk very, very fast, but I appreciate English isn't everybody's first language, and I take that for granted. So I'm really trying to slow my speech down and make myself as what's the word? As easy to listen to as humanly possible. So yeah. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your evening. I hope you all had a great start to your trading week, and I will catch you tomorrow at 4 p.m. UK time for the strategy development session. Peace out, guys. Have a great rest of your day.